Welcome everybody to our LALINOA for today. And our LALINOA today, we have a special guest here with me. He is the Olympian and Tongan heritage, David Andrew Liti, who also won a gold medal in the 2018 Commonwealth Game at the 105 kg event. His weight, the total weight that he lifted on this competition at 403 kgs. Commonwealth Game record. He's also competed in the Olympics in 2024. We have David here. David, that's the end game of where you at now. I like to start in the beginning, David. Growing up, you grew up here in Tonga or in New Zealand? Because you represented New Zealand in the Commonwealth Games and Olympics.
Yeah, so I was born in New Zealand.
Yeah.
My parents and them lived here, so we moved over. One of 11 kids. So,
Wow.
First 4 was born here in Tonga, and then the last 7 were all from New Zealand. So, yeah, we grew up here, Vaini and Sopo as well, and my parents was traveling, so I'm familiar with the area. So,
Growing up in a household of 11 kids, how was it growing up in a household of 11 kids and your parents?
You learn things a lot faster, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, when you do one thing wrong, your older siblings will definitely put you in line.
Yeah.
Quick. So, yeah, it was good. We've actually been together only once ever.
Okay.
All under one roof. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, some of the older ones were sent away to go to school and all of that stuff. And when they came back, we were sent away to go to school and that. So, yeah, it was fun. You know, it's always somebody there for you, and no matter where you go in the world, there's definitely got to be somebody there to support you and be around
And
for the family.
you mentioned older siblings. Where in the ranking are you in the 1 to
So
11?
I'm second to last. I'm 10.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. You're the youngest.
And I have my little sister. So my little sister, me, and my brother that's just older than me, we kind of grew up all together. So all of my older siblings, I didn't really know when the first time I met them that they were my older siblings, you know. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. What was that like meeting your older siblings? And because, you know, people that's listening right now, they hear 11 kids, they hear it must be a hectic household. Then you start talking, and then some were overseas, and you guys were raised here. What was it like when you first, in your mind, meeting them?
I was a little bit shocked.
Yeah.
I have heard stories that I had older siblings, but I've never seen them before.
That's crazy.
So it was like weird when they came over and we're like, "Hey, who's that dude? You know, who's that girl?"
It looks like me.
And so yeah, when they came over, it was cool to meet them finally. But yeah, like everything else, it was short lived, and they would have to go back off to school and stuff like that.
Fast forward, David, to obviously we've spoken about your upbringing and here in Tonga and also in New Zealand. But fast forward to the first time you touch weights, or did you watch it on TV? And you know, sometimes I've spoken to a lot of bodybuilding. They mention names like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Was there any name that you've seen on TV that kind of led you to the career that you have now?
Not really, because growing up here in Tonga, like in the 2000s, there wasn't much, you know. Well, for me as a kid, I wasn't really exposed to that side of the world. You know? All I knew was that we went to Uta and then we went Maketi and Whaatauda, you know, Meakai and stuff. And yeah, I didn't really look up to anybody until I got to New Zealand in 2006, and that's when people were like, "Oh, you ever heard of this guy, Jonah Lomu?" and all of that.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first people I ever looked up to, was Jonah Lomu, and especially him being Tongan, I really wanted to be a part of that like small group of Tongan super athletes.
You just mentioned Tongan super athletes. You're definitely one of them now. Talk about your first experience going into the gym, touching the weights and lifting them. Was there anything at that time that made you think that this could be something that you want to do for the rest of your life, or was it something that gradually happened and eventually happened?
No, I never really understood weightlifting. First time I watched weightlifting was by accident on the 2008 Olympics. I came home from school and it was on the TV, and a guy actually snapped his elbow. Yeah, So he was snatching and he snapped his elbow.
So the first time you watched
that
it
was the first time I ever watched
a bad
weightlifting.
experience.
Yeah, but I didn't even know until I went to do weightlifting that's what I was watching.
Oh.
Yeah, so, but it didn't really push me away from it. I just kind of went and did it, and I was hoping that I would get strong so I could be better at rugby.
Yeah.
And then, I just got better at weightlifting.
And getting better at weightlifting, at what point of getting better and better, improving at weightlifting, at what point did you decide, okay, this might be the pathway that I'm going to be taking, and I'm going to forget about the rugby pathway?
Back in high school, I played Auckland 16s. And then when I went to 18s the year after, I got injured. And then the year after that, the same thing happened. So I was thinking, I've tried for 3 years to make something in rugby.
Yeah.
But within a few months of hardly any training, I made the New Zealand team for weightlifting.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, oh, maybe I could do something. I finished high school in 2014. I came here, I told my coach, I was like, oh, coach, I'm just going to go to Tonga to see my parents for like a week. Where I came, it was like 3 months later. Went back and then, just kind of decided I wanted to do something. And, at first, family and that doesn't really agree with it and stuff and all of that. But, it's something that I wanted to chase.
Yeah.
So in 2015, I just put my head down and just went on, never looked back.
You spoke about it's something that you wanted to chase, and I've spoken to a few athletes in my LALINOA program, and the same thing, what they go through with family when they tell them that this is the idea, this is what I want to chase, and obviously the back and forth with family. But the day you wanted to chase this dream of yours, what was it in you or commitment in you that you were going to do? You were going to go look for a coach? Were you going to go look for a gym? What was the first step of this decision?
For me, it was committing.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the biggest struggles that I had, was to committing to something. And I had a coach, good coach, same coach that I have now. I had a gym that I was going to go to, and everything was set. All I had to do was commit. And I never really saw myself doing anything in the future. So I was thinking, why don't I just give this a shot, you know? And I guess I just showed up and just kept showing up. And then 10 years later, I'm here. And
to the people that's looking up to you, you no doubt there's people that come up to you and say that I've seen you at the Commonwealth Games and I've seen you at the Olympics and all these different events you've been to and your accolades that involves your name. Can you explain to the people that's watching, or the young kids that's watching, the sacrifice, the commitment, the hard work that goes into that one event or the event that we would have seen on TV?
Definitely with weightlifting, I can't speak for all sports, but it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time out of your life. I've countless birthdays and New Year's and Christmas that I've missed because of weightlifting and competing. Going in hours on end, throughout the days. And I don't know. I think for me, it was good that I had the type of mindset to just be tunnel vision, And I knew that one day it was going to work out. And I just hoped that my friends and family and stuff were just going to be like, keep backing me until that happens. But there's even the little things of like trying to get rest and stuff, Some nights you're sleepless nights and just thinking about what mistakes you were doing in training and all of that stuff and trying to fix it in your head and missing family time. And I was fortunate enough to move away and stay with my coach. So there was like no rent and no, don't have to worry about food and all that stuff. So it was kind of like a give and take kind of thing. There's good that comes with it and there's bad that comes with it. And it's going to be hard, but at the end of the day, if you really want to make it work, it'll work.
You mentioned the word tunnel vision. That's a word that's always mentioned, especially when it comes to athletes. So it's not just what athletes talk when they go through the process of competing. It's also what is talked about them when they have this tunnel vision. For those watching, say if there's an event coming up soon that you're competing for, can you just explain that tunnel vision that you will have towards that event?
Every event is different. There'll be plannings and all of that way beforehand, months beforehand. Trying to target goals, or if I'm trying to beat a specific person, or trying to break records, am I going to just break my own sort of records? So yeah, the focus does depend on what the event is, but that tunnel vision mindset really brings the determination within you to get what it is you're after. You know, it's the showing up and doing your warm-ups and executing each lift with intent and respect, and then going home and fueling yourself, and then recovery, all of that stuff. So by the time that you reach this competition, you know that you've done everything you've done, no stones unturned, to be at the best shape you can be to compete.
At the end of, and sorry for continuing with the tunnel vision or the tunnel analogy, but at the end of every tunnel, there's always that light. Yeah? At the end of the tunnel at the Commonwealth Game, the light was 403 kgs. If you complete this lift, you will be setting a record at the Commonwealth Game in 2018. Now speak about your prep to walking to this massive, massive weight and getting ready to lift it. Not knowing if you can or not, but getting ready to be able to lift it. No doubt in your tunnel vision, you are already going to lift it because that's how you guys think. And lifting 403 kgs. This is, I can't, yeah. Wow.
2017 was probably my biggest, toughest year that I've ever had in my life, you know. Mental breakdowns and all of that kind of stuff. So I never really saw the light in 2018, you know. And before 2017, my best total was like a 392, 394. Wow. And after 2017, just before the Commonwealth Games, my best total was like 350. Yeah, it was terrible, terrible year for me. And so when I went into the Commonwealth Games, preparation wasn't where we wanted it to be. Everything fell apart and it just wasn't going right. And so when I did get there, I just remembered I needed to have fun and enjoy the process, you know. And I ended up having a good snatch day. I thought, I was like, damn, I'm actually closer to everybody than I think. And when it came down to the clean and jerks, my coach would write the numbers. I would just have to lift it, you know. After that, it's like I came up onto the platform. I didn't even know how much the weight was. I just came up and I remember looking down at the bar and I gripped it. And I was just thinking, man, I'm going to get this. Oh. So when it came up, I was like so confident. I hit the jerk, and when I recovered, I was like, oh, I actually did it, you know. And I didn't even know I was at first place. Drop that came down. I was happy that it was done. And then the Pakistani guy comes up and misses his lift. And my coach just turns around and looks at me and goes, oh, you know you just won? I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, you just won. I was like, oh, I was like standing there like, what the heck? I didn't even expect this. And especially having such a bad year in 2017, it was like, to me, it was like this thing, like God was giving me a test so he can reward me for the trials that I'm going through, you know? And that's what I took it as. And I went home and I was just thinking, I took a shower for like a whole hour, you know, just sitting in the shower crying and stuff. And I was just thinking, man, why did you do this to me? You know, you gave me such a shitty year in 2017. And then all of a sudden you gave me a little bit of a taste of what it is I'm chasing, you know. Yeah, ever since then, life's changed and super grateful for everything that's happened. And yeah, don't regret none of it.
What have the taste done for you in sense of motivations and still holding on to that dream?
When I started weightlifting, I never thought that any of the us athletes from this side of the world could do something good in weightlifting. And it's that little thing, like it gave me a little bit of hope that maybe I can rub shoulders with the best in the world, And each year I've just come in and I've just, put my head down and I've worked hard to get to hopefully one of the best ever positions I can be in the Oceania region, and put it out there into the world. And yeah, it's just like each year after that, it just kept getting better and better and better. And yeah, to me, it's just like, it's such a mystery that I'm just this kid who used to run around in Uta with my taipa and all of that, and now I'm in the world stage, going head to head with some of the best athletes in the world. And it's that part of it where I'm super thankful for what God has put me through to get to where I am today.
There's one thing about our athletes, especially someone like you and many other Tongan athletes that's done well on the world stage, is you go to the Commonwealth Games, you represent New Zealand, you win a gold for New Zealand, but when you're standing up in that podium, you're standing up with the whole of the nation of Tonga. Because we were all proud, we all saw, we all sang the New Zealand anthem with you as you tear and get this gold medal. How did that feel for you? Not just as somebody that's represented New Zealand and winning a gold, but also as a Tongan representing Tonga, and we can say it's our gold medal as well.
Yeah, it's one of the best feelings, being able to win that gold medal in 2018. But my favorite part was winning the David Dixon Award, and that was the sports fair play. And to me, that was a showcase of what true Tongan, what do you call it, like morals and ethics and all that kind of stuff, I was happy that I was able to showcase that to the world, that we're the small little island from, down on this side on earth, and
the dots,
this is how we
with
are.
The dots in the map.
The little dot, and this is how we are, and it doesn't matter what we go through and what we do. At the end of the day, we're always told that our neighbors are just the same as us and love them just as much, So it's such a, I don't know, it's such a weird feeling because it's not normal, but at the same time, it's rewarding.
Yeah. I know we've got to bring it back to Tonga. I know we've gone to the world stage. We're going to bring it back to Tonga. You mentioned when you were growing up here in Tonga that you did not have any aspirations into sports until you went to New Zealand. It's definitely something that needs to be changed here in Tonga. I know with sports like rugby league and rugby union and netball, they have grassroots here in the Kingdom of Tonga, but it's slowly growing. You would want to inspire to do here in the Kingdom of Tonga, to having some grassroots with weightlifting or that sort of sports in Tonga.
Yeah, definitely. I don't see why not. There's so much talent here in Tonga. It's sad to see it just go to waste.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I'm not the strongest Tongan there is. I know that there are.
There's still some still in Uta.
Yeah, they're in Uta. They're in Uta, and stuff. So I know that there are a lot of talent to tap into here in Tonga. It's the hardest part is the politics.
Yeah. Yeah. With any Tongan sports.
And
in here in Tonga.
as hard as it is, like, it's the truth.
Yeah.
We allow these people to run these things for us, and they just stuff it up.
Yeah.
It's sad to see. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's something I want to do, but I think finding the right people to be around and to help you grow that thing, it's probably the first step to it. But definitely. Yeah. I feel like there's, bro.
And I'm not saying this to discourage you, but when you find the right people and then you grow that thing, and when it grows, then you're going to have to face another set of politics. So it is definitely something that Tonga in general needs to work on.
Yeah.
On that.
And
concept.
definitely, like, I know, we have this thing in Tonga where there are levels to everything. So I'll know by the time when things come around where I have to sit and when I have to stand.
Yeah.
So, but until then, we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
For now, we just sit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so coming on to near the end of our LALINOA for today, I know we spoke briefly about your family. How important was that? I know we spoke on this decision you made and the back and forth you had with your family. No doubt, because where you are in your career, they ended up supporting it. But how important was family to you in your journey in your journey?
For me, as one of the youngest out of the 11, it's probably one of the most important things, you know. And I know for a lot of Tongans, probably every single Tongan out here, family is probably the biggest thing for them as well. You know, it's your comfort, it's the place you know, it's the people you know that will always support you. Wherever you go, whatever might happen, you know that these people will always back you up. And so, for me, it's such a privilege to be able to be out there and represent not just myself, but my last name and my family, you know, and Tonga and New Zealand and just everything that's attached to it. And yeah, I don't know. It's just such it's a privilege.
About religion, because you know our Tongan family comes with religion.
Yeah.
You spoke about that conversation you had with God in the shower, saying, "Why did you give me this taste of, you know?" And gave me a bad ear, and then give me this taste. Speak about your religion, your relationship, with God.
Yeah, it's one of those. Like, it's one of those things where I know I truly believe in the existence of God. But that whole practice of it is probably the different story, you know. I'm not going to lie and stuff. And I do apply a lot of the things that come from the Bible and all of our practices. But, you know, some days you fall short and some days you don't. You know?
I'm the same.
Yeah, so...
Sometimes some Sundays you make it and some Sundays you don't make it. Yeah.
So,
but it doesn't mean you don't believe in God.
So it's I came across this guy who was talking, you know, for those people who are discouraged that a church is where you need to be to talk to God, do not worry, because the church that God created for us are the trees in the forest, are the rivers that run, are the seas that are so vast, you know. And so wherever you are, that's your church, and you need to work on your relationship with God, not your relationship with your church.
The conversation you had in the shower after this milestone event that happened in your life, you just lifted 403 kgs, broke the record or set the record at the Commonwealth Game. That conversation that you had with God is probably, for you personally, it's a spiritual conversation you had with God. And that's all you're saying, that you can have these conversations anywhere. It doesn't have to be in church.
100%.
I'm definitely going to be cutting this one and put it on a Sunday reel for everyone in Tonga. Yeah. People might not like it, but or the churches here might not like it, but it's a good one to know. You can have this conversation anywhere.
100%, 100%.
Before we end it, when I met you yesterday for us to talk about this conversation, you wore a tupenu, you're wearing a tupenu today. I actually absolutely love when our Tongan people come back from overseas and they wear the Tongan attire. How important is that for you, wearing the Tongan attire? I know you also wear it as well when you go get your awards and all that. So how important is that for you?
It's one of those things where, like, you know how some people pack their bags?
Yeah.
And it's like, I've got to have hand sanitizer, I've got to have this, I've got to have that. I think as a Tongan, having a tupenu is probably one of those things. It's a must-have, you know? And it's connecting with the roots and being out there in the world, being away from Tonga. sometimes you just need to remind yourself where you're from, you know. So if I'm carrying a tupenu at Lavala, it just reminds me of where I'm from, where I've come from to get to where I'm going, you know. And it's not often that we get to wear it overseas. So when I do get the chance, I like to take it.
I wore it once in overseas in a place they don't really know Tonga or in the islands, and they're like, "Hey, why are you wearing a dress?" But it got me to talk about where I'm from. Yeah, why are you wearing a dress? And it's like, oh, it's not a dress; it's a traditional thing. And I don't know if they ended up thinking that it wasn't a dress, but it got me to tell them where Tonga was, and then they asked where Tonga was. So that could be a thing for you. It's like, why are you wearing a? Yeah, they won't say that to you.
No,
because you're pretty big, but they'll say it to me.
I think because New Zealand, it's kind of like people understand it, but
if you go to
Europe
Europe, and I know you guys are traveling around, and just wear it, and people are like,
get killed
in
Ireland.
But we wear something underneath for this kilt. This is come up to my last question, or I say this to all my guests that I have on the LALINOA is. My demographic is the youth, and there'll be a youth watching this or listening to this on radio. What advice do you have if they have any dreams they want to inspire to be? It doesn't have to be in sports, but advice that you have for somebody that's listening right now, David?
The one thing I always tell people is to blow your kisses and not your opportunities. You know,
nice.
Have fun, enjoy everything that you do in this world. Remember to celebrate it, and then once an opportunity comes, grab it with both hands and just work hard until you get what it is that you want. And one day you'll be one of those General Lomu superstars or Valerie Adams
or David Liti.
Yeah.
And that's it for our LALINOA for today. Thank you very much for making time for me. I know you made time on the day you actually have to leave the country. So thank you very much. And that's it for our LALINOA for today. Hope you guys enjoy it. And mahalo bito, David, for being here. Ofatu. Soundtrack. I just saw him doing this. So I was like, I better.